Welcome to CS225. I'm your instructor, Robert McMillen, and we are now going to discuss our final module, Module 9, Chapter 12, a User Support Utility Toolkit. Our objectives will be to go over software utilities and information resources used by support specialists. We're also going to discuss categories of common user support utilities, and some useful support utilities will be discussed. So what's the role of support utilities? Support specialists use utility software to diagnose and repair user problems, locate information about questions and problems, and prevent common problems. We also use it to increase the productivity of support specialists. Coverage of utility programs and information resources in the chapter does not imply recommendations, so I will be talking about several different programs, but it doesn't mean that they are recommended. They are just options for you to look into. So before you use them, all utility software should be researched. Operation and side effects should be understood so you don't end up bringing down your network. And all utility software should be tested. Details about software and information resources do change over time. So if you're watching this in the future, from when I'm recording it years from now, then those products may not be available anymore and new ones might be better. Several different types of utilities. There's freeware, may be limited to home or personal use. Donationware use is free, but donation is requested. Shareware may offer free, but a limited trial period. Open source, which is basically free with the exception of you cannot resell it. And it does allow you to get into the source code as well, so you can make modifications. And then, of course, commercial, which is the one that costs money. Privacy policy, a statement of how vendors collect, maintain, and use information provided by and about customers or users. Those are typically embedded in the end user license agreement, which is a legal contract between the vendor and the user. So if you click you agree to that contract, make sure you read what it says first and you agree with it. Opt-in checkboxes, a website download input form often requires users to agree to specified services and provisions. Not all opt-in boxes are obvious and straightforward. Sometimes they try to make it so you download some type of malware in there, such as what download.com, or which is also called CNET, does on a regular basis. So caveats on utility software: the cost, features, download instructions, and documentation change frequently, so make sure you read. You've got open source, freeware, and shareware utilities may not include all the features of commercial utilities. Sometimes you'll get a free version of what the commercial one provides, but without all the features. Trial versions of utility software may have disabled features or time limitations. And vendors of free utility software may encourage users to purchase their commercial version in less than obvious ways. Software utilities offered as free downloads may require payment to use some features. Opt-in checkboxes may default to permit vendors to sell user information to third parties, something you have to watch for so you don't end up getting your identity stolen or just end up getting a lot of junk sent to you. Check specifications for hardware and operating system requirements for each utility before you do any kind of installation. Back up your user data and registry. That's also a very good idea, because if you get some sort of infection, you may have to go back to the way things were. Some educational organizations and businesses have restrictions on the download and use of utility software, so you have to make sure that the business allows you to download that software before you do it. So categories of software tools: hardware support, systems, software, a couple of different kinds, system problem, diagnosis, network, internet, file management, performance enhancements, security solution, user support tools, lots of different ones, and many of them come free inside Windows. Examples of use: evaluate hardware reliability and stability during a burn-in period. It's called a stress test. You can find and download updated device drivers, and conduct diagnostic tests of hard disk media, as well as conduct tests of memory modules, the RAM. So, utility name, burn-in test, stress tests hardware to assess reliability and stability. So all these are in various different pictures in the book. Device driver finder downloads drivers for hardware devices, and I have seen that they will also attempt to put some sort of spyware on your computer, so be careful with that one. Drive fitness test performs a test routine to evaluate IDE, SATA, and SCSI hard disk drives. Windows Memory Diagnostics Tool tests RAM memory in Windows systems. So an example of use: to prepare reports on installed hardware, software, and configuration information. Monitor the PC startup process, list device drivers and system services identified during startup. So you can see what types of things are starting along with the operating system to see if you actually want that happening, because it might be loading up too much and wasting a lot of RAM. A couple of the utilities, BellArc Advisor. This is a very good utility, but it's only free for home use and private use. If you use it for a business, then it does cost thousands of dollars. WinBoot Info monitors and reports on system startup activities. Examples of use of software support for operating systems. Identify and control which software gets launched. That could be very helpful. You can also get that for free through msconfig just by typing msconfig from a command line. Clean debris from the system registry. Perform registry management tasks, including edits to keys and values. Use Windows command line utilities, DOS commands. Create a Windows recovery disk could be very helpful in case you need to wipe everything out and start over again. Either in a disk medium that's, well, you could have one that's part of the hard drive itself in a separate partition, or as an ISO image you could burn onto a DVD. Software support operating system utility examples continued on here with auto runs for Windows, system cleaner, etc. Of course, there's Windows 7 and Vista, and now Windows 8 commands, and the recovery disk you can create. Examples of use, audit software. Audit software, a process to determine software versions installed on a PC. This is very helpful for compliance to make sure that you have paid for every license that's installed. Software license is a legal contract between the vendor and the user that governs the use of the software. Typically, you never own your software. It is always owned by companies like Apple and Microsoft. They just let you use it. Assess the patch status of installed software. That's another great use for auditing. Patch status determines whether current updates have been downloaded and applied. Utility name, BSA free software, audit tools. Uninstaller is actually very good at uninstalling software that doesn't uninstall cleanly. Examples of use for system problem diagnosis, utilities, and resources. Define, analyze, and repair hardware and software problems in computer systems, along with utility suites. Bundle several utility tools into an integrated collection of related tools. So we've got Advanced System Optimizer and Win Utilities Suite. A couple of different ones that do that. Network support utilities. Examples would be throughput bottlenecks and interruption of normal network traffic. So you find out where the bottleneck is. Diagnose and troubleshoot network operation to identify faults in network infrastructure. Service faults and dashboard. Service faults, an interruption of service in a network environment, degrades or terminates network services. Dashboard, a real-time display of statistical performance information, and a graphical format is very handy. There's also command line ones as well. A couple out there, OpenNMS, Op Manager, and of course there's lots more out there as well. Internet support utilities and resources, examples of use. Test a PC's internet connection bandwidth, download, and upload speed. Identify potential connectivity vulnerabilities due to an external internet device's ability to penetrate connected PCs. Vulnerability, a weakness in a system connected to the internet or other network. Then you've got messenger spam, and you've got browser header. So these are things to look for. Bandwidth speed test and shields up. Do these kinds of tests to make sure your speed is as good as it can be and protects you against vulnerabilities. File management task utilities and resources. An example would be backing up files and folders from a disk, a service that provides file and folder backup on an internet server, converts files from one format to another, and attempts to recover deleted files from media. Backup utilities, of course, are very important, and every version of Windows comes with a backup utility. On the servers, you actually have to install it first. So some backup programs, GFI backup, online backup, file conversion utility, Recuva, and the one that's most used in business that we find is Backup Exec, now currently owned by Symantec. Performance enhancements, utilities, and resources. Some examples would be evaluate and benchmark a PC's operating speed against that of other systems. You can also use Performance Monitor built into Windows. Optimize PC performance by adjusting the configuration and settings of a PC, see if it runs any better. Free up disk space by erasing temporary unused, damaged, obsolete, and archive files in case your hard disk is running out of space or very fragmented. And speed up disk access by defragmenting. Of course, defragmenting and hard disk scans are included as part of every Windows operating system. So, some third-party utilities that also do this: Performance Test, Advanced System Care, CC Cleaner, and Disk Defrag. The Cleaner program actually is very good, and definitely I've used it before, and it works pretty well. Not necessarily a recommendation, but have used it successfully. Summary results of a benchmarking test. You can see various different pieces of hardware tested: CPU, graphics, memory, disk, and overall. And then the benchmarks between the different computers and the maximum amount of points that help you determine which product you should get. Security solutions. Examples would be scan hard drives, memory, email, etc., for viruses. A lot of antivirus out there. Windows also comes with a free antivirus, although I have not found that to be a very effective one. Usually the third-party commercial ones tend to be the best, in my opinion. Scan for malware and spyware, monitor firewall breaches, etc., all built into all the commercial antivirus products. Kaspersky, Symantec, McAfee, they all have that. Security solutions continued. Can detect hidden files and folders, such as a rootkit. Very hard to get out with a free antivirus product or anti-malware product. Evaluate the strength of a user's password. Password Guesser attempts to discover a user's online password, which is kind of handy. See if you've got a very good one or not. Perform a secure erase operation on a PC before recycling. So a secure erase may be required for your organization, depending on if it's in healthcare or finance. So Microsoft Security Essentials is a free one that you can get for most versions of Windows. Malwarebytes has a free and paid version. And Internet Security, Blacklight, Password Meter, and other ones as well. All out there. Example of use for user support tools would access a user's PC to perform diagnostic tests, troubleshoot problems, install software, configure settings. So this is a remote control utility you use to remote into a user's computer. LogMeIn is a popular one. A free one is out there is Remote Desktop, which is included in every professional version of Windows. And there's a lot of other utilities out there as well. VNC is a free one that comes in a lot of different flavors. So to summarize, we talked about user support specialists using a variety of software tools, categories of support tools, system problem diagnosis. And that is it for our Module 9 presentation.